Hello everyone. So I was just working out this morning during this quarantine time, semi-quarantine, except for essential items, to be like Enos. So I was just reading this week our book of scripture. For those who don't know, I'm a religious man, go to church, and in the book of Mormon, there's a chapter in there, or a book, the book of Enos, and he talks about how he went out into the wilderness to go hunting, but during that time he was reflecting on the teachings of his father. So he may have been just your typical young man that doesn't usually listen to their parents, but at this particular time, I'm guessing he was older, he started reflecting more on the things his dad taught him. And one of the things that was really cool is just how he really became more, he was just really concerned about his own well-being and if he was doing the right things. And of course he received revelation that after his prayer, his intense prayer, that he was forgiven of his sins due to his faith. And so it's kind of like during this time of this pandemic, where a lot of the part of the country is told to stay indoors as much as possible. This is actually a blessing to be able to have this time for ourselves, to really get to know ourselves, to reflect on our relationships, our family, our friends, and in Enos's case, even our enemies. So I just learned the story that Isaac Newton, during the pandemic of the Black Plague in Europe, he remained indoors for that whole year. But it was that year that he had the most advancements in the things that he was doing, because he had time to think, he had time to reflect. He was focused. He focused all his energies on this. So he came up with different principles of calculus, physics, new principles. And it's the same thing with us. We can use this time to really improve our minds, our spirits, our bodies, as opposed to spending most of our time, surfing social media, consuming social media, or playing video games, or just things that consume to help us feel better, as opposed to consuming and doing things that help build us and build others. So I don't know, I just think this is a good time. I mean, for example, I had this little home gym I hadn't used because I always judged the equipment to not be very good. But now that I kind of have this time, I was like, man, I gotta optimize what we have. And as I've been fiddling around with it this week, it's actually been really nice to work out at home. And so, anyways, and one last story is after my freshman year in high school, I would go from Utah back to Arizona. And I remember that summer I stayed with my dad, and was it after my 8th grade or 9th grade year? Anyways, that summer, both my parents, my dad and my stepmom still worked. And back then we didn't have cell phones or anything. We had TV, but like only 2 or 3 channels maybe. And so I had all this time. And I remember I just started running. I started doing push-ups and sit-ups more. And I actually got a couple books from the bookstore in Gallup, New Mexico. And one of them, and I started reading a lot. One of the books was actually this book, Tony Robbins, Awaken the Giant Within. Now, I'm not promoting this book or anything, but it's just what happened when I was younger. And I read that whole book. And I also got into Jack London and read almost all his books. I think there were a few other fiction books I read. But that next year is when I really took off academically in school. Whereas before I was, a B student, the next year I did so much better. Anyways, use this time wisely and don't waste it. So anyways, hope you all have a good day.